portion of this video is sponsored by Boost Infinite. We had the Galaxy S20, followed by the Galaxy S21, Galaxy S22 after that last year. It makes sense that Samsung is going to announce the Galaxy S23 line this year. I think it'd be funny though if they just totally changed the name and just called it like, whatever, Samsung Dolphin. Check out the newest Dolphin! And it's not, that's what happens in my head. S23 is coming. Samsung sent out invitations to Unpacked on February 1st, and there's a lot to, I'm not going to say unpacked, there's a lot to take out of the box when it comes to what's coming next from Samsung. As the New Year's kickoff, Samsung's usually the first ones to announce their flagship phones, and we should see 3 of them. For those of you waiting to see what Samsung's going to do, let me tell you what the S23 is going to be all about, or at least what I think it's going to be all about. So, like most phones now, S23 is not going to be one singular phone. It can't be confined by just one box. In fact, it needs 3 boxes of different sizes. The S23 will be the smallest, most compact, allegedly coming in at 6.1 inches, which is crazy that that's the small one. In 2013, Samsung came out with the Galaxy Mega. This is the Galaxy Mega 6.3, and it's named 6.3 because the screen is 6.3 inches. This is a ginormous phone. Phones have gotten just huge over the past few years. They're gonna get even bigger because there's a Plus version that should have a larger 6.6 inch display. And if you like your phones ginormous, like I tend to, the Ultra should be rocking a 6.8 inch display. Here's what you do if you wanna know what the S23 line should look like. Just take out your phone, go to Google, and look up pictures of the S22 line, and hey, there you go. So this is the exact screen size that we have right now. No major changes there. It's going through with the rest of the design. If you took like a glance at what you expect the S23 to look like, I would not blame you if you thought you were just staring at the S22 and maybe some different colors. But much like people, you know, if you look at them a little closer, get to know who these phones are in their soul, you will see some differences. So first, the phone should get slightly thicker, which I can relate to. The bezels around the screen should also get slightly thicker. My bezels also have gotten thicker. Hopefully that's for a bigger battery or for new features, but it does seem strange that the bezels are getting bigger. It seems to be the opposite of most trends. I'm gonna assume that there is a reason for it, but the rumors that have percolated out have not heard anything concrete, so that's a big question mark when these get announced. So whether or not you're gonna get an S23 or another phone, I'm gonna wager a guess that you are paying more than $25 for your cell phone. Maybe you're on a group plan, but if you divide it out, I would imagine 25 bucks is way less than you are paying. But what if you could pay $25, and with that 25 bucks, you got unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data that included 30 gigs of high-speed 5G data that also gave you access to that data for, let's say, mobile hotspots. And then to top that all off, you could keep that $25 cost for, I don't know, infinity. You might say, John, that sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? There is no catch. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Boost Infinite. Boost Infinite is sort of the latest wireless brand under the Dish umbrella. It's not replacing Boost Mobile. This is a post-paid service, and it is exactly what it claims to be. They're offering this early access thing where if you sign up, you get access to a $25 plan. That is pretty incredible. Now, I know I said unlimited data, but after 30 gigs, it does drop down in speeds, but you do still get unlimited data. And you could add features like international roaming. You can obviously bring your own, your iPhone or Android device that also will happy to sell you phones you can finance through Boost Infinite as well. If you do want to check out this sort of limited time early access deal, go to boostinfinite.com, but of course we'll link to them down below. The S23 and S23 Plus should also be getting rid of the glass bump and instead adopting that same look as the S22 Ultra, which I think to me looks cleaner. So just the cameras popping out of the back of the phone and kind of nothing else. I think this is a really good change, even if it's just like slight. Makes the phone, at least in my hand and eyes, generally feel sleeker. So let's talk some Ultra. This looks to be identical to the S22 Ultra. I guess it was a new design last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Gotta recoup those R&D costs. If you're expecting a huge redesign, it's time to exhale. Unfortunately, it seems the cameras on the back are gonna stay basically the same. I would expect some software changes at least, but the hardware on those phones is not going to change much. What will change in the front with the selfie camera, This has been a 10 megapixel sensor for a long time. It's gonna get a gigantic upgrade to 12 megapixels. Where the biggest upgrade is going to be is with the Ultra. So the main wide camera on the back, expected to jump to 200 megapixels. Sorry, I think I just yelled at you. I apologize. That is nuts. And an f1.7 aperture. This is a ginormous jump over the already ridiculously megapixel 108 sensor in the S22 Ultra. So the big question I think would be why? Those folks who have allegedly seen this phone are claiming this is the biggest camera jump Samsung has made in the past 5 years. And if you look at the photos that current Samsung phones are taking, this is quite a claim since the cameras are already really good. But that is like a pretty vague claim, so I guess we have to wait and see what these cameras can do. I'm imagining pixel binning will be happening here, but the zoom has got to be nuts. One rumor from a few months ago that was that Samsung was working on the ability to attach DSLR lenses to the camera. So that would be awesome. But it would look. Should you imagine holding a big lens in your phone here? I don't know. Fortunately for the rest of the Ultra's cameras, they should stay pretty much the same. There'll be a 10 megapixel telephoto, a 10 megapixel 10 times zoom, which is pretty awesome, and ultra wide. Inside these phones should have the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon processors here. I recently checked out the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. They are super powerful, pretty power efficient as well, so no surprise Samsung is using them here. All right, now stop me if you've heard this before, but there's one new feature we're expecting that Samsung hasn't had before. Maybe you've never heard of this feature, but satellite communication. Shocking, right? Very similar to what another company is doing. According to a rather reputable source, Samsung is going to use satellites to help you communicate if you're away from a cell signal. Not a ton of info on this, but let's see if it does come to fruition. I imagine it probably will. Plus, Qualcomm just announced support for this feature, so I think it would make sense to see it. So that is S23 rumors. I think at this point you probably know this is going to be the phone for you. One thing I didn't talk about that probably deserves to be mentioned is Samsung displays themselves. I know I talked a lot about the sizes and that kind of stuff, but the quality of Samsung displays is unmatched in the industry. I think that's why pretty much every other phone manufacturer uses Samsung displays. They look great. Their high refresh rates are incredible. I think that's what separates Samsung from a lot of other manufacturers. And it's clear that Samsung is trying to separate themselves with a sheer megapixel count on their phones. I want to see what those photos look like. I want to see how they're going to handle video. Differences are there. But either way, I think Samsung's going to have a huge hit on their hands with the S23 Ultra. And of course, with that phone, put the S Pen right in and you are happily on your way. Out of all these phones, I think the Ultra is the one I really want to see the most. But only you know if it's worth your hard-earned money. And either way, we'll see them in just a few short weeks.